the perfect egg sandwich. Finally.
Why so serious?
What if Harley Quinn was in The Dark Knight? This is FanScription. Way back in the pre-global pandemic world of January 2020, I put up a poll on my Twitter asking all of you which Harley Quinn-centric fanscription you wanted to see. Writing her into 1989's Batman was the victor by a very slim margin. Rob took over writing duties on that one, which you can check out at any time, but since it was so close, and the character is about to appear in live-action form once again in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, I thought now was a good time to have some fun and see how she could have functioned in Christopher Nolan's 2008 masterpiece, The Dark Knight. Make no mistake about it, I'm not trying to improve this movie. No way. This is a challenge. Can we do this in a way that works with the story the Nolan brothers and David S. Goyer gave us? I don't want to dramatically shift things around, and I especially don't want to change anything that would heavily impact Heath Ledger's Academy Award-winning performance. Christopher Nolan's interpretation of Batman's lore, including recognizable elements and some characters, are usually presented in a more realistic or toned-down way that range from intriguing to
Robin.
Not. Administering that philosophy onto the Harley Quinn character led me down a path that I think just might work. After all, The Dark Knight is largely a crime drama, and fitting Dr. Harleen Quinzel into that mix would probably make her a bit more serious than most interpretations. Her comedically dark and playful personality would still be intact in some form, but there'd have to be some sort of a shift to adhere to Nolan's tone. One thing I want to make clear right away is that I don't want to overuse this character. The movie still needs to be about Joker trying to corrupt people who are seen as the good guys, or those who consider themselves to be morally upright, to make a bigger point about human nature and the futility of society. Basically, Harley will aid the Joker in the corruption of one Harvey Dent. So without further ado, let's jump on in and see how the Joker's most valuable accomplice could mesh with Heath Ledger, Christian Bale, and the rest of the gang. The film opens the same way, with a masked Joker and his goons performing a high-stakes bank heist. Things start to change before the ending of that sequence.
I'm betting the Joker told you to kill me as soon as we loaded the cash.
No, not me. That'd be the bus driver.
Bus driver? What bus driver?
The back doors open to reveal another masked goon behind the wheel, but this one has blonde pigtails and a high-pitched voice.
School's out. Time to go, Puddin'.
Joker loads the money onto the bus, and the rest of that scene plays out untouched. Everything from here until Alfred's first scene with Bruce in the Bat Bunker happens the same way. In that sequence, we still see spy footage of Harvey Dent as Wayne and Alfred discuss if he can be trusted. But there's a new wrinkle to the DA's background that's explained in a brief news story covering Dent's big case occurring that same day. The news anchor reminds the audience that the recently elected district attorney rose to prominence when his fiancée went missing a year ago. Thought abducted by the mob to keep the rising Dent off their case, the woman was presumed dead when her left ring finger was delivered to Dent's home, with the engagement ring still attached. While assumed, no direct evidence was found linking Gotham's crime families to the death. But instead of deterring Harvey away, he went after the mob even harder, which led to Dent's reputation of relentlessly rooting out corruption in Gotham. He gained the public's favor/sympathy from that situation, and since then, Dent has followed the breadcrumbs all the way up the ladder to Sal Maroni, who he's finally about to formally prosecute. We then return to how the original film proceeded with Bruce and Alfred. Next would be the same scene showing Dent's prosecution skills and the chemistry he has with Assistant District Attorney Rachel Dawes. In this version, their romance is a budding one. There's an obvious attraction between the two, but no moves have been made yet. Things are played more delicately since Harvey is still grieving the loss of his fiancée. Professionally, Dent has been making a lot of headway into taking down the bigwigs in the mob, proved by his own witness trying to kill him in court. Gordon then still meets with Dent, and that conversation arrives at the same destination as in the film. All this is to say, Harvey Dent is still Gotham's White Knight in our twist on the narrative. He's a genuine person trying to help the city and is brave enough to take on organized crime. The addition to his backstory only slightly increases his drive to take down the mob, and his overall role in the story is pretty much the same. Things proceed the same way from the Gordon-Dent exchange until the scene where Joker is taunting the captured Batman impersonator on TV. It's clear that the woman who drove the bus in the opening sequence is holding the camera as Joker slaps the guy around. We hear her laugh and join in on mocking the tied-up copycat, but the message is the same.
Batman must take off his mask and turn himself in. Every day he doesn't, people will die. Starting tonight. I'm a man of my word.
The next time I'd have her pop up is at Harvey's fundraiser in Bruce Wayne's penthouse. She'll be a part of Joker's gang, but still wearing the clown mask from the first scene. She actually brings out Rachel by gunpoint before Dawes reveals herself to the Joker. There's some obvious tension as the pigtailed clown is especially rough with Rachel.
Looky what I found, Mr. J. Harvey's little sidekick.
The rest of that sequence goes similarly to the movie. Dent is hidden, Batman fights off a few of the henchmen, and Rachel is dropped out of the building only for the Dark Knight to save her. Eventually, Harvey still turns himself in, claiming to be Batman, but before he's hauled off, Dent surrenders to his emotions and finally kisses Rachel for the first time. Joker's attack on the police convoy carrying the DA then begins. Our girl is in on the ambush, right next to Mr. J, as he pulls out the bazooka and aims it at the paddy wagon. By the end of that sequence, the truck flips, and Joker still gets Batman right where he wants him before a returning Commissioner Gordon makes the arrest. Just about everything up through that iconic interrogation scene to the death of Rachel and the disfigurement of Harvey stays the same. The added element of a love that never was makes it tragic in a different way. Dent was finally allowing himself to feel again after the death of his fiancée, and it results in the demise of another shot at happiness. The only major difference in this section is how Joker escapes police custody. He still goads Detective Stevens into a fight, which leads to the cop being held with a shard of glass to his throat in the holding area. Instead of a planted bomb exploding within one of his captured henchmen, Joker makes his one phone call to signal a figure waiting on top of the adjacent building. Using the same bazooka from earlier, Harley blows up the room next to Mr. J, and the Agent of Chaos is free once more. He sticks his head out of the stolen police car, with Harley driving in the front seat. Harvey does not immediately regain consciousness after being burned. The doctors mention that he's not yet strong enough to go through surgery, as they just try to keep him stable. Batman drops off his father's coin, and Gordon visits Dent, but his condition is more touch and go here. Meanwhile, Joker still burns his half of the money with Harley at his side, and completely turns on the remaining mob bosses. Coleman Reese threatens to reveal Batman's true identity on GCN when Joker calls in, threatening to blow up a hospital if Reese isn't killed in 1 hour. So our setup in this segment of the film remains as is. In the middle of all this madness, Dent is left in the quickly emptied Gotham General Hospital. When a police officer attempts to have him moved, a masked nurse shoots him dead. We then cut to black, and moments later, Harvey is seen finally regaining consciousness. His bed has been moved to the darkened basement, where he sees his father's coin on the table next to him. Dent flips it over to reveal the burned side. Slowly, he feels his bandaged face and grimly realizes what's happened. Harvey! An ominous voice echoes. Dent notices a flickering light on the opposite side of the vast basement area. He doesn't know where he is, but it's obviously not a hospital room. Harvey forces himself to get up and walks toward the light. Limping and in pain, he's feeling the effects of his recent ordeal as he slowly paces forward in his hospital gown. Harvey enters a room with medical equipment strewn about. Projected against the large wall are different news reports about Rachel's death. Harvey is simultaneously filled with agony and anger.
Rachel!
Hi.
Dent's head quickly moves in the direction of the voice. The Joker then steps out of the shadows in a doctor's uniform, stethoscope and clipboard in hand. Harvey lunges at him, but in his weakened state, he falls to the ground, hitting the floor with a thud. Joker crouches next to him.
You know,
I don't want there to be any hard feelings between us, Harvey. I just needed to show you. You, Gordon, our friend with the pointy ears, just how pathetic your attempts to control things really are. You and your little girlfriend, it wasn't personal.
I'll kill you.
Or maybe you should go after the people truly responsible. I was in Gordon's cage when all this happened to you. I didn't rig those charges.
Your men. Your plan.
Do I really look like a guy with a plan? You know what I am? I'm a dog chasing cars. I wouldn't know what to do with one if I actually caught it. You know, I just do things. Like this. Joker presses a button on a remote. The projector switches to moving black and white images. Harvey's jaw drops when he sees the footage is of his fiancée tied up in a chair. Ah, one of my favorites.
What have you done?
All I did was bring out what was already there. Harley, come say hi to our guest. A woman dressed as a nurse enters and waves with her left hand. Her ring finger is prominently shown to be missing. She takes off the surgical mask, and we see the scarred face of Harleen Quinzel, Harvey's former fiancée that went missing a year ago. Her face has been carved up in the image of the Joker, with the wounds forming a smile. Similar makeup is spread across her face, as Dent is shocked by what he's looking at.
Harley?
Now don't let the outfit fool you. That's Dr. Quinzel.
What did he do to you?
Me? Look in a mirror, Prince Charming. I'll admit, I took some joy in going after your new girl the way we did. Color me jealous. After all, you never came looking for little old me. Did you?
I thought you were dead.
Oh, Harley Quinn is alive and kicking, baby. And hey, it all worked out in the end. Mr. J saved me. He swept me off my feet and showed me who I really was.
She smiles from ear to ear to show off her carved face.
And now it's time for you to show us who you really are. No more white knights. No more, I believe in Harvey Dent. See, I know the real you, Harvey. And you've never looked better.
She rips the bandages off his face to reveal his gnarled left side and holds up a mirror. Dent is horrified. You know the difference between you and me, Harvey? It's the same difference between what Harley used to be and the beautiful specimen she's become. Just one day. And you look like you've had a hell of a day. Harvey is starting to break down. Rachel's death, Harley being mutilated and corrupted by the Joker, his hideously scarred face, it's all clearly getting to him. You know what binds us all together? It affects us all the same way. It's why your girlfriend is gone, why you look like half a Picasso painting. Chaos. Chance. We are agents of chaos. What are you? Joker tosses Dent a revolver. He catches it and looks down at his hands, one holding the gun and the other his coin. Harvey has cracked. He looks up, a changed man.
Why should I hide who I really am?
Now we're talking. Things proceed as they do in the film, with Harvey going on his killing spree and Joker's final plan with the fairies being enacted. It all plays out the same way, with Batman discovering the switched hostages and henchmen with the help of Lucius Fox. The people on the fairies still make the same choices as Joker and Batman have their final duel. Eventually, the Dark Knight shoots the gauntlet barbs at Joker, but he falls back into the darkness instead of being flipped out of the building. This is where we hear Joker's plan for Harvey and the corruption of Gotham's soul. Batman's sonar is malfunctioning, so he can't find him as his voice rings out all around. It ends with the line,
See, madness, as you know, is like gravity. All it takes is a little push.
Joker then reemerges in one final rush. The Dark Knight barely has any time to react before reversing his leverage, sending Joker tumbling out of the building. Batman is able to save him, but while he's being pulled up, something seems off. When Joker turns around, it's actually Harley Quinn dressed up as him in an ode to the copycat Batman from earlier in the movie. Harley laughs as she's arrested, and Batman goes after Dent. Everything is again the same with the Two-Face confrontation, but after Harvey dies, Batman says Gotham still needs its true hero and disappears before Gordon can speak with him more. This leaves the Commissioner to come up with the noble lie in a different way. He blames the Two-Face killings on the Joker, who's still at large. This preserves Dent's reputation and Batman's status as a symbol of hope for Gotham, but it also puts the burden back on Bruce to continue as the Caped Crusader, something he was hoping to finally give up with the rise of Harvey. Not having the murders pinned on him also frees up Batman to go after the Joker later. With that, we still have a similar-ish ending with Gordon's powerful narration.
He's a silent guardian, a watchful protector, a dark knight.
There you have it. Definitely not perfect, but using Harley in this way gives a little more depth to Dent's background and showcases why he's fighting crime in Gotham with such relentlessness. The Batman Beyond Return of the Joker / Killing Joke inspired sequence, where he's pretty much driven off the deep end by the Joker, feels more personal and reveals that the Clown Prince of Crime has been planning some of these conflicts for quite a while. He needed Harvey to take down the mob so he could move in, but also needed to corrupt Dent to prove his larger point. Harley being the decoy in their last confrontation with Batman also opens up the possibility of them dueling again in the future. But what did you think? How would you have inserted Harley Quinn into the Dark Knight film? Who do you think could have played her back in 2008? I know Brittany Murphy was a popular fan cast. I could have even possibly seen Anna Faris or Kate Winslet in a performance similar to her Clementine character from Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Anyway, let me know in the comments, and don't forget to check out the FanScription podcast, where you can find audio versions of all our episodes. With that, I'm out of here. Have a good day, and a dark night.